precious viewers, Shalom. We will continue our discussion on the topic unity. Psalm chapter 13, verses 1 and 2 declares, "How good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments." What is unity? It is something whole or complete that is composed of separate parts. I'll go that over again for the benefit of all our viewers. It is something whole or complete that is composed of separate parts. As a nation, we cannot continue to live in the past. It will interfere with our present, hamper our future, and cause us to be stagnant. We, as a nation, have to lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us. Identify problems, determine what is causing these problems, and apply the solution. For too long, we have allowed the spirit of division to operate and keep us apart. We cannot continue along this path. This is a nation of one people, one nation, one destiny. Let's come together and work as one for the benefit of all. Where there is agreement, there is power. We trust God that as you view this program, He will change your heart and your mind will be transformed. God bless you. God continue to bless, prosper, and protect beautiful Guyana. Welcome. Stay tuned with us.
You know, there could be no unity unless there's agreement. And so last week we emphasized and we labored a little on what agreement entails and what is agreement fundamentally, and then what it entails. And we noted last week, just to summarize what we did, we noticed last week that an agreement seeks to bring people together for the purpose of fulfilling an agenda, for the purpose of advancing a particular cause. And we also mentioned that for an agreement, for us to have an agreement or agreement, there must be plurality of parties, meaning that two or more persons need to come together, sit at the table, and decide what the vision is. So there is collective visioning, and how you're going to map, how you're going to achieve the vision by the vision for the long term that speaks to a collective mindset where everybody's thinking the same way, towards the same cause or towards the same agenda, and therefore in agreement there is power. And I believe where we sit now as a nation, as a group of people, these things are so critical, because where there's agreement there is power. Activities, tasks, or whatever we might assign ourselves could be completed in a faster time, because you now have many hands to the wheel, all hands on deck. I believe as a nation that's the direction we need to go, where every hand could be on deck to advance the cause of Guyana, regardless of our profession, regardless of our race or ethnicity, if you like, regardless of how we perceive things. We could come together and agree to advance the cause of Guyana, because, like we heard earlier, there is power in agreement. Gentlemen,
I want to agree with you, Dr. Hudson, that plurality of parties is a very critical concept for us to understand and roll out this whole notion of agreement. And for example, this morning while preparing to come into this studio, I, by chance, happened the television was on, and there was a discussion between three gentlemen, and I heard a voice and recognized it. These three gentlemen were um, all presidents of the United States. Apparently, after or during the inauguration, but at the end of the formal inauguration, they had a meeting of presidents. Let me see if I can put it. Bill Clinton, President George W. Bush, and President Barack Obama. And I was standing and I thought to myself, well, this is interesting. There is a new man, President Joe Biden, and the optics of having these former presidents attending his inauguration, and not only attending his inauguration, but the fact that the media took time out to interview them, put them in a scene. It was a very refreshing moment. We're talking about agreement. You just explained the whole question of plurality of parties. It's very important for us to come to this place. And I believe, and here I would like to say, I would like to encourage our president. I think he started, invited some of the former presidents. As far as I can remember, we have four who are, is it four? Who are still with us. And I would like to encourage President Ali not to give up on the idea. The optics of these former leaders who served at the highest level, sitting together, whether it's over a meal or whether it's by a creek, it will send a significant message to this nation that we need to heal. And if we could see that kind of picture, it will be a significant thing. So I want to encourage him not to be weary in well-doing. And I want to encourage all the others, those who attended and those who and the one who didn't attend, to this nation needs that kind of approach. And let us see how best we can have that kind of agreement. It will be a significant blessing for the nation. I interrupted you, Reverend.
Bishop, I want on your heels use Ephesians 4:3 that encourage us to be diligent to pursue unity. And I think you have given some excellent examples of the need and the impact it has once you remain diligent in pursuing unity. I also want to add that life is a melting pot, and there are differences among us as individuals. Just look at us on choices and look what we look like and how we speak. But yet still, when you put us into this melting pot, what a beautiful program we produce. And life in itself is like that. I always say that once you need agreement, there is disagreement. And we may chuckle over it, but it is true. And it's just because of the nature of who we are. I do not believe we should allow our politics, which is necessary because we use it to elect our leaders, to drive a wedge so huge that we cannot work together as a people. And so we must find that platform that you suggested, where we sit and be able to talk and find places where we agree, find where we find common ground, find where we have common interests, and work together. Because at the end of the day, We still have to work together. We still live here. We still have to build together. And we just can't do it without each other. I think I listened to the President Biden's address, and I remember him making the point that in spite of our political divide, red or blue, we still need to be one. And I want to encourage us as a people, as a nation, as a family, to strive towards that.
Yesterday, I listened to the presidents, the three presidents having a lovely chat. And it brings me back to the Romans, why they were so successful in conquering other countries, because the generals get together and they strategize certain things, what they have to do, who would come in from the right, the left, the center, from above, or anyway how they strategize. And they was very strong because of the unity. And if this small country, if our people could come together and work together for the good of all race, things would be better. We would be more strong. We would show each other love. Crime would go down because we would be looking out for each other, and we would stand real good if we cooperate with each other. But our heads, they have to sit like how the Romans do and conquer. They gotta sit so that all of us would be well off in Guyana. Thank you.
I would like to introduce a word to us today. I'm saying introduce because I'm sure we are aware of it. The word is pragmatic. It has to do with behaving sensibly and realistically. Pragmatic. Guyana is a nation of around 750,000 people. Not even 1 million persons are living in Guyana. Pragmatic. We cannot afford to be divisive. We cannot afford to be native. We cannot afford to be tribal. We cannot afford disunity. For us to achieve, for us to exploit, for us to become a successful and powerful nation, firstly, we need God, without a doubt. But secondly, we need unity and agreement. The word is pragmatic. We are not 1 million people. Why is it that we have infighting? Why is it that we're still holding on to the past? The past is the past. Let it remain there. Yes, we learn from it. And I'm aware there are barriers to agreement. One of them is history, which I just indicated. It is the past. Yes, we learn from the past, but we do not live in the past. We learn so we do not make the same mistakes. Another barrier to agreement is age. We cannot say, oh, he or she is young, they cannot tell me anything, they don't know what they're talking about. The Prime Minister for Iceland, I think, or Norway it is, she's only 35 years old. But she is the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister or the leader of San Marino is 29 years old. Our own leader, Dr. Ali, is only 40 years old. So a barrier to agreement is age, but I'm showing you that age has nothing to do with leadership. Another barrier to agreement is gender. Oh, he or she, I can't listen to them. Another barrier is personality. That person has no moral standing, they lie, they this, I can't listen to them. The word is pragmatic, behaving sensibly and realistic. What will work and what wouldn't work. Thank you.
I believe I would also want to add the whole notion of persons coming to an agreement has to do with truth also. What is the prevailing circumstances on the ground? And unless you're willing to accept what the truth is, there will be difficulty in moving forward. You know, you mentioned pragmatic and you stimulated another word in my head, even as a university student. That's the concept of dialectics. That, you know, and so, which has to do with dialogue. That's all it means. Persons recognizing, because somebody mentioned there is always conflict. Conflict will be there, but I'm sure all of the persons who are who are leading in our country, they have studied and they must have come across the concept of dialectics, where people sit down at the table and your reason. Even I think it's Reverend Asana mentioned that conflict is, but if you understand anything about dialectics and what you have studied, I'm talking to all those who have studied and who are in leadership, you'll know that the end result of dialectics is always to arrive at a decision that will benefit all. And so, for us to go and have all these concepts and study them, believe these concepts, and now we have an opportunity to exercise what we have learned. We throw that in the corner. So the whole notion of sitting at a table and reasoning and arriving at a common decision that will benefit all. So you can't have all this knowledge that you've learned at university and all over the place, and then when you're now in a strategic position of power, you throw all your knowledge away. And so, you know, those are some of the things I think. Truth is very important in this whole thing. If you hide the truth, you deny the truth, you can't go forward.
And Dr. Hudson, the process, it is as if the process never ends. It is always ongoing. I guess because we are human beings and we always have different ideas, different opinions, it seems as if it is a never-ending process where we continue to dialogue with each other, continue to maintain that conversation so that the entire whole can benefit.
Those three gentlemen who were having a conversation, intentional conversation that was captured on tape and shown to the world. You know, just the other day in America, they celebrated Martin Luther King Day. And I'd like to perhaps give two quotations from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I quote, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that," unquote. And so there's a new season. Yeah, we've had some darkness, but darkness cannot drive out darkness. And this is very important. And so we need to come out of darkness, come out of the absence of information, the absence of, we need to come out from that and have a dialogue that is open. The second quote I'd like to give from Dr. Martin Luther King, and you know, we talking to everybody. I believe at a certain level, we have a lot of unity among the people in Guyana. That is my considered opinion. That in the villages, in the market, when I go in the marketplace and so on, I see example of unity. I see lots of examples of unity. Politically, we need to have a different picture, and that is why we are appealing. And I found the example I referred to earlier as useful. Dr. King said, I quote, "I have decided to stick to love. Hate is too great a burden to bear," unquote. So, as we decide to fight darkness, the only way we could do it is by deploying love. Hate, according to Dr. King, is too heavy a burden.
This human body it's unnatural for this human body to contradict itself. Look at how we are made. I mean, there's a scripture as well that we refer to. You know, if the whole body were an eye, you know, or if the whole body were hearing, where would the eyes be? If the whole body were eye, where would the hearing be? And so on. It's kind of like driving. You're driving, you're going someplace, and you know where you want to go. your foot is on the accelerator, and at the same token, your hand pull up the handbrakes. Something is wrong with that picture. If that is the case, guess what? We got to check your brains out. We got to check something with the head, that part of the body that's supposed to bring everything together. And I want to humbly submit that maybe perhaps the way we lead, our process of leadership needs to be examined. Once you aspire to leadership, there are certain values, there are certain things that you're supposed to come with. All right? You have to have a mindset to bring people together, not to divide. Because we can't go forward with the hand pulling up the handbrake and the foot mashing the accelerator. Something is wrong with that. And so
Except, Rev, except
yes.
that you want to do wheelie, you want to spin, it might be an intentional thing that
Well,
you want to go wrong in circles,
well, I'm sure we don't want to go wrong in circles as a nation. So, it behoves leadership. And wherever leadership is found, you must feel the burden of bringing things together. If you don't feel that, perhaps maybe you shouldn't be there. And perhaps we need to examine how we go about the whole process of bringing leaders through, so that we could move in a particular direction.
Dr. Lee, I think you need to jump in now.
Yeah, there were 6 words yesterday that struck me that, I heard, to form a more perfect union. And as we listened to those 3 former presidents, they pointed to the fact of the strength of their institution, even though they disagreed vehemently on certain issues. And the point I want to make here is that we need, as a nation, to set principles in place. We will differ in terms of opinion, but principles that we cast. Dr. Hudson used the word when he mentioned multiplicity or several, bringing several persons to the table, and then we establish principles by which we intend to govern, by which we intend to rule, and by which we intend to hold each other accountable. So I think that is a starting point. If we can come together and cast the vision we want for this nation, and then the direction we need to go in order to achieve that, I think that would be a noble idea. But it starts from that point. That has to be the starting point. We establish that, and then we move on. We will have disagreement because we are different human beings. We're different ethnic group. There's one nation with 6 people. But if we can establish principles, then I think we will be on the road to making this nation a great nation that it is.
Thank you. We have struggled a lot with the network today in our recording. We will try to tidy it up to make some listening sense to you. But we are talking about agreement. We are determined not to give up. We're very passionate about preserving the image of God in us, not just individually, but all of us coming together. We looked at what took place in America yesterday, well, at the time of our recording, and we were greatly encouraged by those, I think, 42, 43, 44. Yeah, the 42nd, the 43rd, the 44th presidents of America. 45th was absent, and we had the 46th who was put in place. But listen, 46 is not building on a vacuum. 46 is standing on the shoulders, because you can't just pull out 45. But the whole idea of those three standing there offers tremendous hope to that nation. And we pray that in our nation there will be sufficient maturity and agreement and forgiveness for us to go forward. May God bless you. May God help you. May God bless this nation. This is Choices. The Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
I'm Celicia on behalf of the set, reminding you that your whole life is the sum of your choices. God bless you.